can be traded. My heart's a bit spaded. I'm not too prideful to up and leave. You've been on complacent. The tides have been changing. Love is just patience, and for you.
What's up, bookish baes? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. Last week I found myself in a book slump, and I knew that I needed to get out of the book slump before, well, today, because Thursday Mass new release came out, and I wanted to be able to get through the book that I was reading to get into that book. But come to find out, the book that I was reading was the cause of my book slump, which is crazy because I spent a whole month looking for this book, and it put me in a slump. Now, I don't know if I don't want to just blame it on said book, because a lot of people say that book is good, and I think I made like 47 pages in, maybe not even 47. I don't even know. But yeah, so I decided to come. I couldn't even get that out just properly. I decided to come on and give you guys a few of my tips to get out of a reading slump if you find yourself in a reading slump. So we're gonna go ahead with tip number one, which is be patient with yourself. Give yourself time to just not for a while. Sometimes it just, you just need to rest your brain and not read. Just chill, just relax, just become one with yourself type vibes. But I know I wanted to read, and I knew I wanted to read. I just couldn't read that book and it proves to me right, being that the next book I picked up, I read it within a day and a half. So yeah. Another tip number two is audiobooks. A lot of people say audiobooks is not reading, but audiobook, it's in the title, book, you're reading. Like, you may not be physically reading, you're listening, you're consuming the words that's on a page through audio. Like, it's reading. Like, some people, a lot of people I don't know, people just try to discount people for anything and everything. Y'all got bigger problems than worrying about how I consume a book. You have bigger problems than worrying about how anybody on this earth consumes a book, versus whether it is Kindle, audio, or a physical book, hardback, softback. It can be a piece of paper that you printed off a computer. If you read it, like, just chill, okay? My next tip is try reading rom-coms or thrillers or something quick, fast, that's straight to the point, and not a fantasy book that gives you long, drawn out world building type vibes. Like, don't set yourself up, because that's just gonna push you deeper into a reading slump, and then you're just gonna be like, you know what, wrap it. So those are my 3 tips of getting out of a reading slump. And if you've seen that video, you know that I at least did 2 of those, and becoming one with myself was not one of them. So yeah, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books here that are fairly easily to read. Romance, fantasy, thriller. Is it yeah, fantasy, thriller, rom-com-y vibes that we all know and love. And I want to share with you guys some of those books, to give you something to read, just in case you're just like. And another thing, hold on, before we get into the tips, another thing, if you know you're in a reading slump and you like, reread some of them 5-star books that you have. Reread some of them 5-star reads. Now, I did end up rereading 3 books. Yeah, I ended up rereading 3 books this month, which I could have been working my way through some TBRs, but I put myself first. I'm choosing myself all 2024. But anyways, y'all, here go these books rate. Let me get y'all into these book rate, y'all. I'm a little delusional today. But the first one is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. If you haven't read this book, I suggest you read it. But it is whimsical. It gives me Alice in the Wonderland vibes. I know a lot of people say that, but it's about Evangeline and Jax. That's all I want to tell y'all. because I cannot think right now. But if you haven't read Once Upon a Broken Heart, I stress try and pick this up. It's not a lot of world building. It gets straight to the point. It's full of romance. If you like the girl, if you're one of those girls that like wrote fantasy, then fantasy romance, then this is it for you guys. I absolutely enjoyed this series. I think that my favorite book in this series was the Ballad Never After. 5-star read, 6-star read for that one. I think I gave this like a 4 star. I don't remember, but I suggest this one. Now, the next book I would recommend you guys reading is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I sped through this book. I cannot wait to This Could Be Us come out by her, because Josiah and Yasmin. One thing about this book that got on my nerves was Yasmin's daughter. Like, girl, calm down. Like, she was doing too much. But this was a really good book. This is a good book to get you out of a book slump as well. I keep saying slump. A book slump as well. If you haven't read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, I say read that one. Now, I'm going to go on to one of everyone's all-time favorite 5-star reads, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Emily Henry. In the book she write, I buy. In the book she write, I read. And I absolutely enjoyed Augustus and, well, Gust and, what her name? January? I think her name was January? Yeah. Gus and January. I really enjoyed Gus and January. It's like one of my favorite summer reads. So, I wish I would have reread this one when I was in a book slump, but that's another one of quick, fast, to the point, keep you hooked books. The next one is The Naturals by Jennifer Land Barnes. This is kind of like a Criminal Mind inspired book, but it's with teenagers. And when I first read this book, I was hooked because I'm a Criminal Mind girl through and through. If you love Criminal Mind, it's basically about these kids who have these natural abilities, where you have two profilers, one who can read emotions, one who can tell if people is lying, then you have one who's good at math. And it's just found family. I absolutely love this book. Like, y'all, you don't even have to watch Criminal Mind. It's always something going on. They're helping solve cases. They talking unsubs and crime scene y'all. Criminal Mind in a book. I can go on and on about this. If you haven't read it, read it. I'm pretty sure this will work its magic on getting you out of a book slump, as well as the next book that's also by Jennifer Land Barnes, which is The Inheritance Game. I read this when I first read this book. I read it in one day. I read this when I first got into reading. Before I even started my booktube channel, I read this entire series in a week. Well, it was just 2 books out at the time, so I read those 2 books within a week, and then when the other one came out, I read that within 2 days. So that just speaks on how good this series is and how attention grabbing it is. You will really enjoy reading about Avery. I think it's about Avery who ends up inheriting a whole bunch of money, houses from this man that she never even met, just because her name was like a riddle. And he believes in playing these games with his grandsons. Now, mind you, he had 4 grandsons. I think, like, I don't know, 2 daughters and a son that he could have, well, 2 daughters that he could have gave the money to. So he gave it to a whole total stranger. This book was so good, and I'm pretty sure it will help you get out of reading slump. Now, the next book is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. This will be going to a fiction. Now, you can read just about any fiction. You don't have to just read this one, but I absolutely enjoy and love Freida McFadden Housemaid. I love, what is this girl's name, y'all? I be forgetting people's names so much. What's her name? Willa? I think her name is Willa. Millie. Her name is Millie. I enjoy Millie so much, y'all. Millie is a real one. If you haven't read Housemaid, The Housemaid's Secret, they have another one coming out this year called The Housemaid is Watching, and I cannot wait to read it. It's about this girl who get hired to be a housemaid, and some creepy stuff is going on, and she ends up getting, dang, I can't talk. she ends up staying in the attic, I guess you would say. Was it the attic? It was the attic, but the lock was on the outside. First of all, I'd have been like, never mind. I'm sorry, nope. But it was so good, y'all. Y'all have to read this to understand my love for this entire series. Well, duology right now, but you have to read it to understand my love for it, because I love Millie. Everything about this book was 10 out of 10, 5 stars for me. The next book is Better Than a Movie by Lynn Painter. You don't even have to just read this book. Read any Lynn Painter book, because one thing Lynn Painter know how to do is write a rom-com. When I was reading this book, I was like, this book remind me so much of a movie. To this day, I still don't know if it's a movie or was I just reading this book and she was describing it so well that I was visualizing the book to like it was like a movie playing in my head, and I was like, this reminds me so much of a movie. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up and see if this book was actually inspired from a movie, because y'all, when I read this book, you could not tell me that it was not a movie. Like I just knew it was a movie. Like I'm so interested in wondering. I'm so interested in knowing if it's a movie or not, if it's inspired of after a movie or not. But any Lynn Painter book will help you out of a reading slump. Trust me. Trust me. It would grab your attention and keep it. So, the next book is When in Rome by Sarah Adam. Fairly short read. Amazing book. Any Sarah Adam books will do it for you, because she does small town romances. This one is about a celebrity named, I think she's a pop star singer. She's a pop star, Ray Rose, and she ends up running off to take like this mental health break, I would say. And she ends up going to Rome, Kentucky, because one of her favorite movies, I think it was like, what was her name? Roman Holiday, where Audrey Hepburn, yeah, it was Audrey Hepburn and Roman Holidays, and she ended up going to Rome. So Ray decided, I want to be like her. I'm gonna take a trip, and the closest Rome was Rome, Kentucky. So she ended up going there. Her car ended up breaking down in this guy's yard. He ends up letting her crash with him until her car get fixed, and that's where this book takes place. Enjoyed the crap out of this book. Like I said, the second book into the installment is Her Bodyguard, and I think the guy and her sister. It's called Praise Make Perfect. I haven't read that one yet. They're all fairly short, fairly easy to read, attention grabbing. You'll enjoy it. It would be sure to get you out of a reading slump. Now, the last and final book is A Wildfire. This is the book I read when I was in a reading slump, and boy, I've been wanting to read this. Listen, this is one check off of my physical TBR, because this was on my physical TBR, and I absolutely love Rust and Aurora. Y'all, something ended up happening between Rust and Aurora, and they end up meeting, like they end up working at the same summer camp over the summer, not knowing that she was going to be there, he was going to be there, and things was a little weird for a while. This book has spice. This book is the second book in the Maple Here series. The first book is Icebreaker. So if you haven't read Icebreaker, read Icebreaker, then read this, because you get part of Rust's story in Icebreaker. So yeah, but those are all the books that I have to recommend for you guys to read if you're in a book slump. If you have any books recommendation for the babes, comment down below and let them know what books you feel like they should read when they're in a book slump, because you know, those are just the ones that I think will work and the ones that I know work for me. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.
I'm calling bullshit. Say you got it, but you ain't got nothing. Bad bitches don't